that's like, it's reached that point in the past 15, 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
20 years ago, it was a dying art. That's what's so cool about it to me. Like 15 years ago, there was nobody. Like, like you had to know somebody who knew somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is sponsored by Wise Guy Media, a new company dedicated to showcasing the talents and offerings of their customers through podcasting, eye-catching graphics, logo, and customized web design. Established in 2015, Wise Guy Media is continuing to push the elements of web and logo design with outside-of-the-box ideas and up-to-date graphic-generating programs. Whether you want to launch your own podcast, need a website, or a new logo for your brand, they have all your needs covered to promote yourself and get your brand recognized in your industry. To see what they've been up to, check out their site, www.sonyermedia.com/wiseguy, for a sample of what they've been doing to help get this podcast off the ground. That's www.sonyermedia, SANYERMEDIA.com/wiseguy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, Episode 8. Today's episode is featuring my boy Chris Dickey, also known as the Goblin King. He has a really fun story to share with you guys, his humble beginnings, where he's at now in his life and his glass career. He's been behind the torch now for 4 years, and officially he's been a professional for 3. And he's the kind of glass artist that really enjoys to share his progress. If you watch him on Facebook, even last week he posted something that his mom had found, one of his original glass pieces that he made, pipe-wise. And he kind of did like a before and after posting of where he was and where he's at now, and it's pretty fun to see his progress. And he gets into that a little bit in this episode. Mainly with this first part of his show, we mostly talk about where he got his influences from, a little bit about the industry and where his perspective of the industry is and where it's going. And also he talks about the studio he works with and the guys he's surrounded by and some of the fun projects that he's been involved with this year. And yeah, so it was a fun conversation because Chris and I have known each other for a while, and he basically got his initial influence and spark for the glass art as a child when he visited Disney back when he was 8 years old, and stumbled across the glass blowers. One thing led to another, and he became basically, wouldn't say addicted, but addicted, so for lack of a better term. So it'll be a fun little show. Also, something fun today as well is I'm going to be chit-chatting with Chip Steeler, also known as Shipwreck, who does electroforming and copper plating. He is fresh back from the DFO this past weekend, and his brother Murr, who tragically passed away a little bit over a year and a half ago, was one of the guys that really got the DFO going out in Oregon. And so it's going to be fun to talk with Chip today, talking about the show itself and where it's at. And also they basically named and dedicated an area, a pavilion, to Murr. Murr also, his name was Murr Monkey, was his glass name. And Murr was a big influence in my glass life in my early beginnings. So it's going to be an honor to talk with Chip today and kind of get his perspective on where he's at now in the industry, being an electroformer and being one of the originals as well in the industry doing electroforming and copper plating. Other than that, also just don't forget, guys, this Friday coming up, I'm going to have all the whole details set in stone for my 30-day challenge for July, since July 1st, I believe, is next Monday, and coming quickly. So basically, just kind of a real quick synopsis. What we're going to do is 30-day challenge in July, which basically is going to be 30 pendants, one a day for 30 days. I want everybody to make a pendant to start your day off with. When you guys are done the next day, when it's out of the kiln and cool, I want you to send me a really good picture of it. I went ahead and got an Etsy page started today. I was going between Big Cartel and Etsy and found Etsy is a little bit easier to work with because I am familiar with it. Their fees are a little bit less as well, and I can put more stuff up there. Hopefully, if it works out and you guys want to be a part of this, we'll have several hundred pennants a day going up, and we'll have a ton of glass to choose from. So I think it's going to be a pretty cool idea and concept. I'm still working out the financial aspect of the side of it in terms of payments for you guys for when the sales happen, whether you want the payment in full after the Etsy charge, or if you guys would like to help contribute everybody together to a fund of some sort that we can contribute to an organization or something of that nature. So if you guys can please give me feedback, I really do want feedback from you guys. Without you and your input, this isn't going to be possible. I'm going to be doing this myself along with you guys, which is part of why I like this podcast so much, is because I not only am helping share wisdom and stuff, but I'm also participating with it myself and learning from the guests that I bring on the show and talk to. So if you guys can send me an email, please contact me at jmichaelglass76@gmail.com. That's JMICHAEL glass76@gmail.com. With any kind of ideas you guys have, input-wise, please. And also, if you are interested in becoming a sponsor for the show, we are now looking for sponsorships. Now that we are 2 weeks into the show, we have close to 1,000 downloads already, which is mind-blowing. You guys are amazing and rock, so thank you so much for that. Whether you are a tool company, a glass company, a manufacturer of what have you, or just a distributor of all the goods that we buy from, if you guys would be interested in being a part of our show, we not only have this podcast, but we have 2 websites and a newsletter that we're using for outlets for our advertisement and for sponsorships. And Wednesday is going to be dedicated to not only tip of the week and some information, but also to product talk, whether it's about product reviews or talking about new products that are coming out, launches and stuff. So if you're a company and you have a new product line that you would like to get out to the masses, this is a really new outlet for you that hasn't really been done yet. And the opportunity is pretty big. Again, we have 2 websites, a newsletter, and this podcast. And we're hoping to average around 2,000 to 3,000 downloads a month minimum right now for this month alone. And that's just the beginning. Who knows where this is going to go? So the potential return on your investment in terms of investing in us as a sponsor is going to be pretty big. I just with already where we're at now, it's been awesome. So anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here so I can get the show out and about. I was going to get it done last night, but we had a really bad thunderstorm blow through and actually just ended. It started about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it is now 11 o'clock Eastern time on Monday mañana, and we are finally clearing up, and I didn't want to have any kind of power surges or any of that kind of stuff. So I decided to go ahead and just do it right now, and then later today I'll be doing episode this for Wednesday and Friday, so we have these out. That way when you guys are on your way to work or heading out to the studio, these shows will be up and running and ready to be listened to. And again, thank you guys so much for your support and listening and the downloads and the reviews and the ratings. It's just been freaking awesome. You guys rock. Love you. Have a beautiful week. Bye-bye. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, Episode 3. I'm pretty excited to show you guys who my guest is today. My guest is a self-taught glass artist whose work has evolved through trial and error. He has surrounded himself with like-minded artists at Hidden Oak Studios in Austin, Texas, where he continuously strives to create his best work. With very little formal education, this self-taught flameworker is always raising his own bar as he fine-tunes his techniques daily. He's a family man, Disney aficionado, and a humble pirate. It's a pleasure to introduce a friend and a fellow Disney nut, Chris Dickey, a.k.a. Goblin King. What is going on, my dude? How are you?
How is it, man? Life is good.
Awesome. Hell yeah, brother. Same here. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's exciting to have you on. You and I have been talking for a long time, and so it's definitely a pleasure to bring you on the show.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor.
Hell yeah. So, yeah, man. So I would like to kind of start off with a little bit of background, like where you started, any influences that you have in your glass, and any kind of people around you that kind of helped you learn your techniques, and that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, dude. Where I found glass was Disney. That was where that's where my first, I remember falling in love with glass. I was like 8 years old, and I had gotten separated from my family for a little bit. And when I was found in the glass room, and I had been there for I don't know how long. And I was able to watch this kid make a Mickey Mouse out of glass, and it blew my mind. You know, I didn't really understand what was going on or what was happening, but I knew that I liked it, and I knew that it looked fun, and I always wanted to try it. But the problem, you know, where was I going to learn type of deal was my whole thing. And I was 8, and you know, it was a thing for the future. And then whenever I grew up and started traveling around, I went to this shop in South Lake Tahoe called Heads Up, and I'll never forget it. And it's like an A-framed building right there in South Lake Tahoe. And I walked in that door, and to my right, they had these cases that were built into the wall with like, dude, it was the most gnarly glass I had ever seen. I'd never seen anything like it before.
Hell yeah.
And right next to it was a picture of this dude just raging it out. You know, and I'm like, I don't know, I might be 20, 21. And this dude's just raging this fire. And I asked the guy behind the counter who he was, and it turned out his name was Darby. So I was like, well, I've got to learn more about Darby. And I went out there and I started, you know, researching and looking, you know, and learning at what all glass was out there. And, you know, I learned of people like Jason Lee and names like that, you know. So those were my, you know, if you want to talk about like what lit my fire, what really it sparked my imagination and see what was possible with glass, it's definitely attributed to those two individuals specifically. And that's, you know, why a lot of my work has to do with bright colors and lines, you know, because that's what my brain has always loved. That's what I've always, you know, when I went to the shops whenever I was a kid and I was looking at all this, you know, the glass in the stores, that was what I was looking for. I was looking for bright, distorted lines that tripped my brain out, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted to do. Later down the line, I got into a situation where I was able to work with some buddies at a smoke shop. And whenever I was working there, I met a guy named Will Menzies. He goes by Box Fan. And, you know, he might single-handedly have been the one guy that changed the whole course of my life. Whenever I met him, you know, he was doing his thing, and I was working at this shop, and we developed a relationship over time. And through time, I ended up owning that smoke shop, and we did, you know, I did business for years, just as a smoke shop. But things, even with all the money and blah, blah, blah that comes with owning a smoke shop, especially during the times of, you know, herbal incense and all that, when money was really fluid in the smoke shop scene, which is, you know, obviously prevalent to all the glass blowers, because, you know, that kind of had a huge impact on what helped blow the glass scene up. You know, people had money, smoke shops had money that they didn't have before.
Right.
And anyway, through all that, you know, I was really unhappy. Things weren't going well. And, you know, around June of 2011, I called up Box Fan, and I said, you know, I wanted to come up and I wanted to play with them on the torch for a couple of days, get away. I needed a break, blah, blah, blah. So I go up there, and Box Fan puts me on the torch for the first time. And within a year, I had sold my smoke shop and, like, you know, basically left everything behind, because, you know, once that fire's lit inside of you, it's kind of, that's all there's left.
Yeah, dude, it's
so
impossible to put out.
I sold the smoke shop, and Box Fan taught me a few things. And after a year, I sold it, and Box Fan hooked me up with a guy named Craig Lewis. And Craig Lewis is, I mean, I don't know many other people in Austin that's his OG. You know, he's a part of the scene. He's deep a part of the scene here in Austin, Texas. He's one of the originals. You know, he's been in the glass scene here in Austin over a decade. So when Box Fan told me he wanted to put me in his studio, of course I was really, really happy. And, you know, when I got to Craig's studio, Craig kind of took me under his wing after some time, and that's basically the story. You know, once Craig taught me a few things, and I could find a way to make $1 and eat off of glass, then, you know, it's just building it from there.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing when all it takes is just like one person to show you the torch, to get you on there, to melt some glass, and then you're hooked. It's like,
you're hooked,
you
bro.
know, it's terrible.
You know,
but it's
well,
awesome.
you know, what's crazy about it is like, you know, I can pinpoint it down to one defining moment that changed everything. It's all about glass. So,
yeah,
know,
and it's good. It's
part of my life.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate the fact that you also are all about being humble and giving respect to those that paved the way for you in terms of showing you the reins, you know, because, you know, it's amazing in other areas, not in the glass scene, but in, you know, areas out there you see, it's like you want to see people that are humble and, like, go back to their roots and really explain where they come from. And when you see, like, you know, Snoop Dogg or some big name out there that's like, this is where I grew up in this little ass house in the ghetto, and this is where I am now, but they appreciate and they go back to their roots and really show, you know, the roots of where they came from. You know, that's what it's all about. That's your story, you know. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you I mean, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So I kind of want to back up a little bit and delve into your beginnings and kind of unpack some of that stuff, especially with the beginning influences as a child, seeing the glass being made at Disney. And just for those that don't know or are not aware, myself personally, I am employed by a company called the Rebus Brothers, and we are a operating participant for Walt Disney World, not only in Orlando, but California, also 2 parks in Japan and France, and then soon to be in China. And one of the things that Chris and I kind of got along with was the fact that being that we're both Disney nuts, and his humble beginnings started from his inspiring seeing the glasswork from at Disney, and now I'm there doing the same thing, inspiring kids. So it's kind of interesting, dude, you know, to think back to when you were, you know, 8 years old and just mesmerized. And when I see that, at, you know, myself personally, seeing the kids coming up that are just like, you know, their eyes are popping out of their head, and I'm kind of worried because they're staring at my hot flame being melting glass and stuff, you know, not wearing proper glasses. But at the same time, it's awesome to be involved, to be able to influence. And I use you a lot as examples of a story that I tell the kids, you know, like they'll come up and they're like, oh, where'd you go and how'd you get started? And I tell them, I was like, hey, I got a buddy of mine who came here when he was a kid and was completely inspired, and when he got old enough to start doing it, he started doing it, and now he's an awesome glass artist. And when I tell the kids that, they're all like, oh my God, that's cool. So
because it's you know, here's the thing, it's totally possible, and it's not something that people really think about. Like, that's not a profession or a career, or, you know, it's not even really a common thought art. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Glass blowing isn't, it's just now starting to become alive again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's been dead for so long, you know. It's been kept in families for so long, and it's just now starting to become, you know, prevalent into people's lives again, really, you know, because for the longest time I thought it was made like in a factory, literally in molds. Like, I didn't realize that there are people that do it with their hands like that. So,
yeah,
you know, being at Disney World and being able to see somebody manipulate and lighting that spark, dude, that's a huge deal. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. It's and you know, a lot of folks don't always agree with Disney or the politics or even just like the parks themselves, but I love how they showcase everything that is possible in terms of creativity to the highest level. You know, whether it's you know, educating about a country or an art or a performance or whatever, it's always at the highest level. So like, you know, like at our studio, we have it on in Magic Kingdom on Main Street. Not only do we have our station where I'm sitting, like tomorrow I'm actually going there to work all day, and I'm on season right now. So, well, I shouldn't say now. I went seasonal to focus on myself here, but the opportunity is there to still go. So like tomorrow I'm going to work at Main Street, and you know, to sit there all day, and you know, I go back. We have a hot shop in the back, so like we have our front studio, then we have the solo hot shop in the back. So we really get to expose people to both shows that go on, you know, and it's totally different types of work, but it gives everybody there an opportunity to appreciate both sides of the glass movement and the glass art itself. And, you know, like you're saying, too, with the acceptance it's getting and the growth of this industry, where it's becoming a bigger industry, and hopefully, you know, we might have a possibility to get a union going of some sort, especially with all the medical marijuana laws that are changing, because now that the laws are changing, we can somewhat come out of our basement and the black holes we've been hiding in for years, and come out.
It's going to change everything. I mean, it's going to change everything from the way we're perceived to the amount of money in our pockets because of people openly able to do that, which is going to allow us to venture out and do more. Like, there's a lot that comes with that, and it kind of touches base on, I know obviously herbal incense is not the best thing, but I'm going to use it as a reference because the amount of money that it put into our industry, and it really gave a lot of these prevalent artists, the ones that I look up to today, the opportunity to step out and do that.
Yeah.
Like before, they had to make, these 20 spoons a day or they were not going to eat, period.
Yeah.
Like, that was the way it was. And with that money came opportunity to, experiment and step out of their comfort zones. And next thing you know, you've got a whole laundry list of, basic glass rock stars, people who are, capable of doing so much more because there was money in the industry, a lot of it. And that's what's going to happen whenever cannabis is legalized.
Yeah, exactly.
When cannabis legalizes, it's going to, it's going to flood. It's going to change everything. It's going to change everything.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, want to do me a favor, man? Could you, your signal's coming in pretty clear, but it's kind of bouncing around a little bit.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Yeah. It's kind of weird. It kind of goes in and out. It's like it's there. It's just like the volume level is weird. So no big deal.
I've got a storm brewing in.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Hell yeah. All good, man.
What I liked about Disney, you know what I'm saying, is like Disney is showcasing glass as an art, dude. It's not showing, like, I didn't fall in love with pipes, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I went there, I didn't realize it at the time, but what I was watching was the manipulation of earth with fire. And there's something really powerful about that. It doesn't have to be pipes to spark that interest. I was watching a sculpture of a Mickey. So it's it's so open, and you've got so many options. And then Disney showcases that. You know what I mean? From goblins to soft glass to pendants, and then it just goes on and on from there.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's really cool because like when I first started doing this, as much as I was like, I kept thinking like making pipes was bad karma. Making pipes is like I had this like stupid mantra, whatever you want to call it, going on in my head, because of the legalities of it. So I was getting paranoid. I'm like, well, shit, I should just start like making perfume bottles or little creatures and things that I could sell. And but every time I'd go to make that perfume bottle, I'm like, well, shit, I'm just gonna pop a hole, push a bowl, pop a carb, knock off my blowpipe, and I can actually sell this thing instead of having instead of having 50 perfume bottles in a case that I may or may not be able to sell. And I'm just now at a point in my career where I'm starting to do shows and trade shows and stuff. I've always kind of just stayed home and made my work and then had a distributor sell my glass for me. But now that the industry is where it is, it's allowing us financially to become more creative outside of making pipes, where we can make pendants. I mean, shit, the pendant scene right now is awesome. The demand for my pendants and just pendants in general right now is fucking awesome.
Dude, marbles.
Yeah, marbles.
Are making a huge comeback.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, marbles, they're making a huge comeback.
Yep.
Here in Texas, some cats out in San Antonio have created a whole, and it's unique to San Antonio. And I wish I could say the name because it's in Spanish, like Esfaras Caderas or whatever it is. It's freaking awesome because it's created a whole different scene. Like, there are at least 100 people that have zero interest in making pipes that have been sparked because of this marble scene in San Antonio. So it's like, man, just the opportunities are endless, dude. And you've got so much with the way it's growing, and Facebook has been a huge part of that too.
Yeah.
Facebook, and I think Facebook and YouTube have had just as much to do with the change in the pipe scene as Operation Pipe Dreams or Bob Snodgrass. Like, they're all, these things shaped the industry and what, made decisions for people. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. It's fun, dude, because like with the social media, for instance, like you're saying with Facebook and all the groups, there's groups that are dedicated to marbles or dedicated to specific
Pendant.
glass collectors, the pendants. Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, it's, there's auction pages. It's like there's almost so many groups anymore. It's hard to keep track of everything in all the groups.
Well, yeah, it definitely gets out of control. But what that means is that it's almost an endless supply.
Yeah.
You've got an endless list of people that want to be a part of this scene and want to contribute and love what the artists we all do. I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
and that's what's so great about the your radio show or any other form of not marketing, but socializing within the community. It's only going to make that bigger. It allows people like the fans, the people that don't have any interest in blowing glass, that just really love the glass, and all the way to the shop owners who I don't know that they don't care about the glass, but it's less important than, say, the melters. And all of the people are able to connect and tune in, just like on Facebook or all these other little things. Originalglasspipes.org was like the first little thing in that, right? Melting pot, all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember when GlassPipes.org first came out, like right after the whole Operation Pipe Dreams thing kind of happened, and it was kind of a fuck you to the government, as we're going to post our pipes online anyways. We're not for sale, but this is a gallery of art. And, I was like, when I actually got on there, and I was like one of the first 30-something artists on there, and I was always posting stuff, and this was back in like 2003, maybe something like that. I don't remember exactly, but, we had got posters in. Abe Fleischman had sent us out some posters. It was a poster. It was like Marcel Darby and Jason Lee and Scott Deppie, and it was like their showcase pieces. And we were all like, "Oh my god, how?" Like, I usually okay. Let me back up. So when I first started blowing glass, I would go to shops and look at glass on shelves because at the time nobody was showing me. I had to learn everything for myself, and those that I asked questions to were like, "I ain't telling you shit," because you're basically immediate competition. So I would go to stores and like look at pieces and try to do like reverse engineering in my head and figure out and break it apart and then go home and try to make it and recreate it. And then I started seeing the stuff coming out of the West Coast at Humboldt, and I'm like, how in the hell are these guys even, for one, thinking about how to make this, two, actually going through the process of creating it, and then three, getting it out of their kiln as a full piece that's not even broken or no cracks. I mean, it was like I remember seeing a Scott Deppie piece where he was first doing like his rainbow chains, and I was just completely blown away about even the idea of making glass chains. And now you see today there's like bead makers and jewelry makers that are making jewelry that have glass chains attached to their centerpiece pendants. Dude, absolutely. It's when you fast forward from then to now, it's like the evolution's constantly going, but it's like what happened back in the day when back when Snodgrass and the cats were first starting off pipe making to where we are now. It's like it's been this steady flow of evolution, but it's also taken this full circle and gone back to the beginning of where we all started from to now. It's going back. It's like this constant circle, and the circle is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And especially,
at an exponential rate.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. And now to see like the Japanese artists that are coming in, and that, I mean, they have a whole different style of what they're working with, but they're influencing the American glass artist just like the American glass artist is influencing the Japanese glass artist. The peyote work they're doing. I mean, God, dude, some of these cats, like, I want to bring them on the show and talk to them because it's like I want to see where they came from their perspective and their roots and what influenced them.
Absolutely, because over in Japan, dude, like they can't make pipes. Like it's a big no-no. And you've got some of those cats who they take the attitude of well, fuck you.
Yeah.
So I mean, some of those dudes are doing real big things for the Japanese scene, and that's why in turn become so influential over here. They're really pushing themselves and the boundaries, most importantly, which I think is what's so great about our scene is we're constantly pushing boundaries. We're constantly trying to see, what else can we get away with? Back in the day, smoke shops were not smoke shops. They were record stores with a couple pipes in the back.
Right.
And now you've got shops like Made with $100,000 pieces right there in the window for the whole world to see.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It is incredible. And back to what you're saying about going to these smoke shops and reversing them and all that stuff. That's basically what people are doing today.
Yep.
Except instead of going to the smoke shops, they're going to Facebook and they're seeing what other people are making, and they're getting inspired by that social network, and that's it's powerful, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty rad, man. So I want to talk a little bit about your current situation and the studio that you're working with and the cats that you're involved with over there in Austin. So Hidden Oaks Studio is where you're working out of. And who are you circled by artist-wise in that studio?
In my studio, I work next to Josh Silverman, is who my benchmate is. He works, just got his lathe, and he does a lot of web working, really badass production worker. He's basically a machine. And then I've got, obviously, Craig Lewis, who's the owner and proprietor and basic OG of the shop. And he's the main teacher. And then we've got Doug Zolberg, who just came in a couple of years back from Detroit. Does a lot of traveling, does a lot of Incomo work. And we've got Kyle Harris from San Antonio. And he's a relatively new worker. He did a lot of milli work, and he's trying to come up in these two, working with two. And then we've got Johnny G. the Sot, and he has no real definite style. He just makes what's in his head. It's pretty incredible watching him work.
Heck yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's it. We have a lot of people travel through. We have open benches for travelers. We just had a lot of people from AEGI, the charity event that we throw out here. They came out to the studio. We had a lot of, we get a lot of that. A lot of people traveling, which is attributed to, my growth.
Heck yeah.
Being able, you know what I mean? Because when you have that open bench for people to come, you have people like Vela G who come into town. And Vela G is another one of those guys who kind of saw that I was trying my hardest and wanted to help. So he's another person that is a big influence, and it's all because of that open bench.
Yeah, man, that's
Hidden
cool.
Oaks is an amazing studio, dude. It's completely unique to any other studio I've ever been to. I've traveled, east to west now, and I've seen a lot of really cool ideas for studios. But Craig Lewis has something unique in the fact that we really are out in the Hidden Oaks, and it's I don't know, it's a high-end shop built in low-end area. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
It's almost like a world of its own when you get there. So it's been really good.
Like a diamond in the rough.
It is, and a lot of really, that's where Salt started, Lucan is a real good friend of Craig Lewis's, and that's where Salt worked forever. Russell Stoke worked there forever. Tyler Stokely. These are all people that have chosen to make Hidden Oaks their home, and for a good reason.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I need to make my ass out there and come see the place. Sounds awesome.
You need to, because it's a great place out here, and it doesn't get as hot as it does down there for you. Even though it does get hot, it's just not it's not Florida hot, bro.
Yeah, dude, Florida hot sucks. Like, my legs are sweating right now.
See, I can't, I can't do the heat, dude. I get nauseous, I get sick, I get lightheaded, I just can't do the heat. So when it comes to times like this, it's night work for me.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I'm trying to get on that early morning schedule and then the late night schedule. But like I was saying before we started the show, is having a puppy is like having a baby. So it's like, I'm up early, 5:30, 6:30. The sun comes up, the puppy's up, we're all up. Sucks. So did you go to AGI this year? I saw.
No, I didn't go to AGI. In fact, when I owned the shop, I did all the shows. All the shows, did them all the time, and I was always there. And ever since I started blowing glass, I've really stepped back from the shows and all of that, and really focused on glass. I've done the glass roots a couple times. If I'm going to do a show, glass roots is the show I'm going to do. That's just my personal preference. That's just what I like the best. I feel it's the best.
Yeah, I hear you. So where'd you go out east? Because didn't you just travel recently?
Yeah, I just got back from Philly. Actually, I got to work out there with Timmy and Cam, which is Time of Z. Do a couple collabs with them and hang out with the whole East Coast crew right there. Because they're a real tight knit community. It's all real close together. I was able to kick it with Jop and Elbow and Joey P and then all the Crushmore crew.
Yeah.
It's a really incredible community to have there. It's also unique. It's different than Austin, and it's different than the West Coast crew. So it was a whole new experience for me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool talking to Coyle last week about that. It's seeing the whole movement that Philly's had over the years, and a lot of those cats have moved into Colorado, but still, it's like this foundation's still up in Philly and it's strong. It's always been like forever and ever and ever. The West Coast was like, oh, we're the best, and then the East Coast started showing, and it's fun to see like the whole complete different styles of West Coast glass compared to East Coast. It seems like the East Coast style, is more in the sculpture and the animated kind of cartoony, fun creative side.
It's got a lot more urban vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm saying by that? Like,
yep.
I feel like the art that's coming out of the East Coast is very heavily influenced by the street.
Yeah. Graffiti and skateboarding.
Yeah, just the culture of the street. Tag, graffiti, skateboarding, hip-hop, just that whole scene that seems to be very strong in their neck of the woods has an obvious influence on their work. And you can see it, plain as day. Look at Fun Gold and all those cats out there that do a lot of that, the urban artwork type of work.
Yeah, and Ski Mask and all those cats.
Yeah, Ski Mask and the whole crew out there that do the boom boxes. And, you were talking about the chains. There's a person, it's just versus somebody that was working out of the West Coast, which seems to have a much more closer, less attachment to the street and more attachment to the organic nature of living, of life.
Yeah. It's kind of cool too, man. Because like being in Florida for the longest time, there was only a small handful of us that were actually down here blowing glass, and then like probably in the past 5 years, maybe less, a little bit more than maybe 10 years tops, there's been this sudden people have moved here, but also a lot of kids that have started blowing glass and up and coming or learn from other people. So now there's this really large, awesome, amazing community in Florida, and I think we're still trying to find our way in terms of what we're going for in our style, but it seems like it's more of like the beach, laid back,
right.
style of what we're doing, because like a lot of my work is ocean influenced or beach influenced, because like my dream studio is to be, I would love to be able to go to my studio, blow glass for a couple hours, walk out my back door, be on the beach, drink some margaritas, get a little suntan, hang out with the kids and the dog and the wife and hang out and bullshit, and then take a shower, eat some dinner, and then go back in the studio and watch the sunset. It's like
that sounds like the dream, bro.
Yeah,
for
dude.
Sure. But that's I think it's happened faster than that. I don't think it took 10 years for Florida, because I remember watching it happen. Like literally, I would say in the past 5 years, it happened. There was a 3-year period in Florida where. You started seeing things like United Florida Glass Blowers pages and things like that.
Yeah.
Where the Florida scene started becoming, and Wonderland blew up. So
yeah.
You got it is. It feels, obviously I'm not from Florida, but I got a lot of peoples out there, and I feel like it's the budding of a whole new scene for a whole new area.
Yep.
And it's just like you said, you're influenced by the beach and by Disney and by that laid back natural way of it, and that's prevalent in Florida. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man.
So you're gonna see that. It's gonna bleed out.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. It was like the other day, I just posted actually on Instagram, I was doing a custom redfish little scene for a kid down in West Palm. He's an avid fisherman, and so I'm doing this little redfish, eating some shrimp off the the bottom of the ocean type thing, and I'm out. I work usually. My uniform is my bathing suit and flip flops. And so like I think it was Wednesday, I went to go put something in my kiln, and I had a punny sticking out that had a caudal fin for the redfish, and it was barely in the kiln. And I go to open my little bead door, and the frickin' punny falls out because it's back heavy, and the little fin goes flying in the air. And I'm like, where the hell did it go? I was looking everywhere for it. And then all of a sudden, it registered that my foot was hurting, and it was actually stuck to my foot, like to the outside of, right on my ankle, So I got this nice tattoo burn mark of this fish fin now.
You got branded by a fish. I saw that, man. I saw that.
Yeah, and I've been wanting to get a redfish tattoo for a while, so because it's one of my favorite fish to catch and eat as well. So I was like, well, shit, maybe I'll just take this burn mark and make it into a tattoo or something.
Right on, man.
You know, something stupid, but yeah, man. So let's move. Oh, what's up?
Go on. No, go on, bro.
I kind of want to start going forward and start talking a little. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. If you have any questions, comments, or remarks, please leave them in the show notes page area where it says comments. We'll see you soon. Have a wise night.